Hello everybody, welcome to my channel. Before starting my video, if you didn't subscribe my channel yet, please do, and do not forget to turn on notifications as I'm sharing great contents for you all the time. Alright guys, in this video we will implement caching behavior using Redis in our application. I did all changes into my application. Now we're going to go through step by step. Because it's gonna be it might be a little bit complicated and the video length is becoming 40 minutes, so to make shorter the video length and not to waste your time, I just prepared everything and I'm gonna show you step by step adding a caching service. Alright, first of all we're going to add our cache services. Let's go to application. Let's go to abstraction. So we created in our structure in the first lesson a caching folder. So let's create, if you don't have one, just create a caching folder and I just create iCache service. We're going to create cache service, but do not create it yet. We're going to start iCache service. Okay, so once we create iCache service, this is going to be an interface and we're going to implement our methods, signatures in this interface. So basically we're going to have three different methods. We're going to have get async, set async, and remove methods. These three of them is going to have individual duty to getting data from Redis, setting data to Redis, and removing data from Redis. But why I gave just remove? It must be a remove async, right? Let's fix this async. Alright, I'm gonna fix when we go to infrastructure section. Once we created this methods, we're going to close the application section and we're going to go to infrastructure. So we have services file here, we have caching folder here. If you don't have, just create one and create a cache service, and this cache service is going to implement iCache service. To just create it, and all you need to do is just implement all interfaces. It's going to be a red arrow just like this. Just implement all interfaces. Once you implement your interfaces, we're going to inject our distributed cache using dependency injection. Then we're going to define step by step all methods. Let's minimize everything and let's go through on it. So first method is get async, and it's a generic type of method and it requires a type, as you can see, and we are using this type to deserialize our object, as you can see here. So basically we create a byte array and we're going to assign this byte array. Actually we're going to go to our distributed cache methods using get async, and we bring the data using the key what we gave here and assign it to this byte array. Then once we get our byte array comes from our caching memory, we're just going to deserialize it if we have one. But if we don't, if it's null, we're just returning the default object, which is going to be, I'm assuming, null or empty. I didn't check which one is, but it can be empty. Alright, so we have if we have a data, we're just going to deserialize it. So what kind of deserialize operation here? Let's have a quick look. I just create a private method, private static method here to deserialize this object. As you can see, it requires a byte array. Here we go. This is byte array. We're just passing this byte array to our method, and we're going to deserialize it. We're using just JSON serializer from system text JSON, and we're using deserialize method. We're giving the type and we're giving the byte array. I'm just using null ignore because we never going to send a null object because we have a null check here. If it's not null, we're going to use that deserialize method, so it won't be a problem to just use that exclamation mark to get rid of the warning of being null, and get method is completed. Let's continue with the remove one, and let me have a look. So we have a public task remove. I'm not using async here, and because I'm returning a task, so I'm not gonna use async and await. So I'm gonna use await whenever I would like to use that remove method. It won't be problem, I'm assuming. So we just giving the k, and we using our cache, distributed cache, injected distributed cache, and remove async method, and we just giving the k, and it's basically removing the data on Redis. Alright, the other one is set async method. So we giving k again the t value, because we're going to set, we have a value in our hands now, we need to set this value in our Redis cache. So basically we need to create a byte array. Let's go get async again. We are bringing a byte array when we try to get our data, right? So if we take in byte array, so we need to set a byte array as well. So we need to serialize our data to byte array to able to set for memory cache. And I created a serialize method here. Let's have a look at that serialize method. This serialize method is basically this value, this t value. For example, it can be a result. Let me type here. It can be a result, let's say customer response, right? So we're going to get this value and return to a byte array. Once it's returning, once it's converted to byte array using this method, it's going to be set in our memory cache. But there is a small option here in set async. The set async method requires a k and the data which is we created, and a cancellation token, and the time span. So to create those time span, we have a logic here. Let me show you. So if, let me have a quick look. So we have a distributed cache entry options here, as you can see. This cache option is a kind of a helper class. Okay, so we have a property and we have a method here. Basically, this method, if we gave an expiration date, it just create a distributed cache entry options object using this expiration. But if it's not, we're using default expiration, which is 1 minute. So basically, this cache option class does, if we didn't give any expiration date, it is going to calculate just 1 minute. But if we gave, it is going to use that calculation, that time as an expiration date. Perfect. This is how it's working. Once we completed our cache service and iCache service and cache service, now we need to add our Redis. So let's right click on the infrastructure and manage NuGet packages. I already add the library. Let me show you guys. I'm just clicking install section. You can just, Microsoft extensions caching stack exchange Redis. If you type this naming into browse section, you will able to see, and just add the latest version of it, and it will be perfectly fine. And then let's save everything. Did we do any changes? Never mind. Okay, we have a name change here. Let's put async, and the error will be gone. Perfect, it's gone. Now all we need to do is registering servers in our service register. So I create another private static method, and I gave a name add caching. So basically, once we add our library, we're going to add our services, and we're going to give a database connection. So I gave a cache, and we're going to read get connection string on our app setting JSON. Perfect. Then I add as a singleton my cache services, because I don't need to use scope or transient, because I'm going to use just one sample of my object. It's going to be enough. I don't need to I don't want my application exhaust to creating extra new object, because the sample of object is going to be enough for caching section. All right, then basically I add caching in my main collection section. Okay, let's minimize everything to make it much more simple. Okay, now we need to define our connection string, right? Yeah, but before creating connection string, I need to define my Docker Compose. Let's have a look at our Docker Compose. I add a new service. The name is same as before, just add .redis, and this is the image, and this is the container name, and these are the other options. So we're going to run this Redis using 6379 ports, and they are matching together. So this is inside the container, this is outside the container, what we're going to use. And I just connected this service to my network, and it seems all good for now. Then the other thing we need to do is, let's go to API project, and let's go to app.json development. Perfect. So I need to add my connection string. So just put a comma just after our database connection, and put your cache naming, which we gave in our service register. Let's have a look again. This is the naming, it must be exact match, and this is my service name, and this is my port. This is how I'm going to connect my Redis. Perfect. Let's save everything just in case again. Once so what we done now, we create our Docker Compose, we create our connection string, we did our settings on our registration, and we created our services. All we need to do is now creating our pipeline and defining which queries are going to be cached. Alright, so let's close all of them now. Let's minimize everything. Let's go back to application section again. Let's go to abstraction and caching. So I created another interface which is called iCached_query. It basically have a cache key and the expiration date. I created this one because when we go to pipeline, we need to say our pipeline just use caching operation only the query if they have iCached_query, and if they have an iCached_query, they have to give a cache key and expiration time. Alright, so let's go our features and see how it's working. Let's go, for example, customer query get customer and get customer query. This is my query, right? Basically I add iCached_query here. Let me delete all of them just for a second. Let's delete everything. I'm assuming your code is currently seeing like that, so just put comma and I add iCached_query, and as you can see, it is asking me implement the interface. There is two different property waiting for implemented. Just control dot and implement interface. As you can see, it is asking me to define a cache key and define an expiration time span for this query. Okay, I'm just bringing back everything what I did. So the cache key, it must be unique, guys. So I'm just giving the customer ID and using these naming pattern, and I gave expiration name null, which is nullable. If you remember our cache options, let's go back quickly our service, caching service. If we gave null, this is our cache options. If we gave null, expiration is not null. As if expiration is not, the default expiration will be run, and the default expiration says just 1 minute. So it means if you gave null, it is going to be 1 minute expiration date this query have. Alright, perfect. So we add our iCache query for all query what we want, but in these circumstances I just add for, where is my application? I just add for get customer, get products, get product, and get invoice. Get invoice. Yep, as you can see, I created my own cached queries. Alright, once it's completed, all the rest thing is we need to do is create pipeline. Let's close everything, minimize everything, then let's go through the application, abstraction, and behavior. So I created caching behavior file. Let's have a look quickly. This is quite similar what we done in the logging behavior. First of all, I gave my variable types, and I injected iCache services, which we created the beginning of lesson, and the iLogger for login operations, and we implement iPipeline behavior as usual again, and we need to define what the T request is, what the T response is. Here we go. So this pipeline will be initialized if the T request is iCache query and the T response is iLoggable. I'm using iLoggable because if you remember our previous lesson, while we're creating logging behavior, our result pattern always must have iLoggable interface. So our return is iLoggable. It's going to be iLoggable. Okay, perfect. And I assigned all fields as a private read-only as usual. I switch my design to the vertical, and now it's time to add our logic here. So what we done here, first of all, we try to go to memory cache and try to get, if there is a data, we're going to get that data. So we're using cache service get async. We gave our variable as a T response, and we're going to give our cache key, which we defined in our query. If we have one, we just going to return here. As you can see, cache result is not null. If we have a cache result, we just log in, we found the cache, perfect, let's return this cache result, and all done. This pipeline will be immediately stop action after this return. But if you don't have any data with that cache key, so basically we just log in, oh sorry, there is no cache, let's try to get the data. So we are executing the our handler. The handler, once handler initialized, we're going to get a result. So if we have a successful result, so it means we have a data. Yeah, so why I add this, because if we don't have a successful data, so we have an error field instead of data field. So I don't want to cache my errors, only I want cache my successful results. If the result is successful, we're going to call the setAsync method, and we're going to give a cache key, which is given our query, and we're going to give the result. It is going to be T response. T response is, in the circumstances, like result customer response or product response or invoice response, whatever you want. And we gave the expression defined in our query, and this is the cancellation token as usual. So we, once is set the data, we are returning the result, and the pipeline continue where it left. Perfect. This is how it's working, guys. After we create our pipeline, we need to register this pipeline to our MediatR pipeline section. So only thing we need to do is adding this section, add open behavior, type of caching behavior. Perfect. All set, all done. Now it's time to try what we done. Let's click the Docker Compose and run the application. But before, I'm gonna quick stop everything. But before that, I just did a couple of changes in our result pattern and customer response. It's the customer response one is a mistake. I'm gonna show how we're going to fix it quickly. Let's go to customer response. Previously these are set private. Let me show you. Customer service. Where's my customer response? Sorry. If I'm able to find it, I will be very happy, man. Yep, this is the customer response. As you can see, I defined them a private. It's a mistake. I'm assuming I did a copy and paste. Just remove those private, because when you get your data from your Redis, this title, address and balance will be default value, because it won't be able to set because it's defined as a private. Just make it normal set instead of private. And the second one is we need to define our result pattern an empty constructor. If I'm able to find it, yep, this is our result pattern. I just add a public result, and I added because let's go to our infrastructure services and caching. Do not forget to add this constructor, otherwise you're going to get error message. Let's go here. We have a get async method here, right, in our cache service. So we have a what happened? We have a deserialize method here. So this deserialize method, let's go deserialize method. As you can see, we are using JSON serializer deserialize. So this T variable, for example, is going to be result customer response. The deserialize method create a new result object. So to able to create this new object, it needs an empty constructor. If you didn't give any empty constructor, it won't able to initialize your object, and it won't save the data what you're trying to bring it from the memory cache. This is the old issue, guys. Okay, so once you add your empty constructor, it will be all perfect. Let's close everything, minimize everything. Let's start Docker Compose and try to see what's gonna happen. It's already been 23 minutes. That's why I did everything before the lesson. If otherwise it's gonna take almost 1 hour or something. I don't wanna make the whole lesson such as long 1 hour. Yeah, it's going to be a kind of wasting time for you. Actually, it's taking much more time on my side because I created, I tested, and I'm doing again, but it's going to be better for you, I'm assuming. Alright, guys, let's try to bring our customer first. But before that, there is a really useful tool. If you're using Microsoft, let's go to Microsoft Store and just type here Redis, and this is a free developer tools. Just install it. I just installed the tool, and I'm going to have a look. Once I save my data to Redis, I will able to see my data, are those being saved or not. Okay, let's open the Redis Insight first and try to connect our database created by our Docker. Let's have a look. This is Redis, has been created and publishing from 6379 port, as you can see. Perfect. Alright, this is Redis database. It's already been created by myself previously. Now I'm not gonna try to create a new one. You can basically creating a new DB. Let me have a look quickly. Is there any window, new window? So okay, this is my DB correctly. It's connected. I guess I did an update and the whole namings and system has been changed. Okay, yeah, here we go. Add Redis database. You just gave the connection URL here and test the connection. If it's perfect, just add the DB and your database will be added. So this is my Redis database. Let's get inside again. So I'm going to make my checks from here. Alright, let's try to get a data. First of all, I need to bring all of them. I'm gonna put a breakpoint just in case to login behavior, see if it's gonna hit or not. Abstraction behavior, caching behavior. Perfect. Let's put a breakpoint here. First of all, I'm going to send a query to get all customers, which is not cached query. This is important. Okay. Let's execute it. I'm executed many times with nothing happened. Nothing we didn't touch here, and our as you can see, Redis cache doesn't have any data. So let's get the ID from here and let's try to make a query using by ID. Let's execute it. As you can see, our pipeline being hit now. So it's just checking, do we have any cache result? Let's have a look. This is the result is null because this is the initial start. We don't have any data on Redis. And if it's null, just passing, and it's going to create this log. So we're going to check that one as well. And as you can see, we're going to set the data, and we didn't give an expiration. It is null. This is the cache key, as you can see, and this is the result. Let's have a look to result as well. This is the data, and the expiration is null. It's going to be 1 minute. I must have changed the time before we started, but we need to be quick just before the data has been gone from Redis. Okay, let's continue. It's just saved, and I'm just clicking continue. The data is here. Now let's quickly go here, refresh the data. As you can see, this is our data, and the data has been set on Redis. This is the time remaining, 44 seconds, 43 seconds. Let's quickly do another query. Now we have a cache result. As you can see, we have result now. So we are logging it and we are returning the cached result. All done. As you can see, we have our result again. Perfect. Let's have a look at our serial log. We are logging all of them. Okay, so the first one is, as you can see, we executing. Can I make it bigger? Yeah, executing request get customer query, and cache miss. The first try is miss, and then we create our DB query, and we returning the data. The second time we did a request get customer query. Let me have a look. Okay, executing request get customer query. This is the second one, and now the second one we hit the query and we just return the data, not doing a DB query. So this is how we able to use our caching system in our applications. I'm gonna close it now. Let's check the Redis. As you can see, once I refresh, the data will be gone because it's set just for 1 minute. Let's refresh, it's gone. Let's refresh, it says K with this name doesn't exist anymore. It says okay. Perfect. It's working very nice. I'm gonna close it. I'm gonna close everything. Let's save everything, close everything, minimize. It's been 30 minutes. I'm assuming you understand very nicely everything. I hope you liked the video, and If you crush the like button, I will be really appreciated. And if you drop comment below the video, actually each video, I will be very happy, man. The YouTube algorithm, only if you put some comment on or you like the videos, bring more visible. And yeah, that's for me. Take care of yourself. See you on next lesson, guys. Bye bye.